And welcome to the fourth annual Mania Club and On the Ring Apron Award Show. It's a joy to get to do all of this again. Our setup slightly different than it's been in previous years. I don't have to stand this year, so believe me, no one's more thrilled about that than I am. Anyone who knows me knows I enjoy my sitting. But this is Steve with On the Ring Apron. Alyssa's over there on the beanbag over near the side. She's going to be there in case the camera decides it wants to fall over. Her voice is a little low today, so the cheering and talking will be mostly coming from me. Key, unfortunately, is out of the house right now, unable to make it to the show today. But we have been having ourselves a wonderful holiday, and as always, it is a joy and a pleasure for Mania Club to allow us to represent not just On the Ring Apron, but also the Mania Club and the Champions of Hope Foundation for the opportunity to present ourselves. I'm doing a little bit of an intro here to give some time in. I see 19 folks already with us, so we're off to a great start and hopefully build in some fun as we go. I also have a fun little comment section over here, and hey, I can sitting down. Oh Lord, thanks to Mario. Alyssa gonna hate my picks. But either way, we got some fun stuff, and I'll try to drop those as we go along. First of all, I do want to go ahead and give our shout outs because we got to keep the lights on. These belt shelves and all the LEDs don't pay for themselves, but you'll see it going across the bottom of our screen throughout the day. Official On the Ring Apron sponsor, W Energy, providing successful energy drinks, 19 different flavors. A whole bunch of different things. We got to try an orange cream flavored one that's out in front of you right here. It's got the little trophy that I got from Anna over there that tells me I'm the best, and she's absolutely right. I am the best. But they're the official sponsor. If you were to go to their site, w.gg, and put in the promo code OTRA, you get 10% off, and also we get a little bit of pay for that. So we're all for sponsorships, all for everything else, but it's also a joy. We always talk about, these different folks give us free stuff. Well, now we have somebody who is giving us free stuff. So those who run W and whatnot, you hear the little wow from Alyssa and whatnot. Yes, that is the tiger from K-Pop Demon Hunters, Derpy. It was demanded by the girls in our house that Derpy was going to have to play a part in this. So we've decided we're going to let him keep an eye on things from the other side of things and see if that ends up being any different. But anyway, we're going to have some fun here and, try to have a good time while we're going. But anyway, with that, no further ado, let's go ahead and get to the presentation. So I'm going to drop this on the screen here and we'll get started. Does the mouse go the other way? This is what happens when you do things live. It sometimes doesn't quite work out the way you envision it, but well, that would have been a fantastic presentation to show, except that our share screen over here ended up going out about halfway through it. So that kind of spoiled the fun there. So give me a second here to get that back up and running. It's amazing how you can get it to work 900 times in rehearsal, but it can't ever work when, you actually need it to. So we are going to bring that back over here, and then we are going to try that again because that is unacceptable in my world. We have a little screen over here where that's going to be able to do things. There we go. And put myself back on the screen here. So sorry about that. A little bit of technical difficulties. Like I said, it can work 100 times in rehearsal, but then somehow it'll never seemingly work when the time comes for it to actually be used. So let's see if I can quickly get that back up and going here. There we go. That should take care of it. And then we'll throw that on the stage there. And there we go. Now we've got it back up where it's supposed to be. So this is, of course, the OTRA Awards, 4th year in a row that we're getting an opportunity to be able to host it. Again, thank you so much to Mania Club and to others for, oh, Lord, no, DeMario, I am not singing while we wait for this. That is not a chance, and y'all don't want that, believe me. I have better options in my house if I must sing. But let's go ahead and slide this over here to get to our set of awards. So first of all, we do have, want to go ahead and explain exactly how our things work here. And I know we have the little symbols up at the top that are kind of blocking things. So forgive it for this first slide. But the voting took place. It was for all events that happened between December 1st of last year and November 30th, which essentially was Survivor Series War Games is always usually the last event that takes place on that. Anything that took place during those dates is available and up for grabs. We ended up having 20 different categories with full of nominations, some of them were in the dozens, some of them were in the hundreds. And we ended up in our nomination show back on the 15th, knocking it down to 5 options for each. And then our official panel, which got a lot bigger once we were able to get all things in place, took place between the 16th and the morning of the 28th of this month to knock that field of 5 all the way down to 1. And ultimately, there were 42 total votes on every single category that ultimately ended up being part of this. We had a 17-person panel with Mania Club and a 25-person panel selected in our Otraverse, leading to a total of 42 total votes, easily the largest we've had in the history of our OTRA and Mania Club Awards show. So we're definitely excited about the prospect of how this is going to play itself out. So with no further ado, let's go ahead and hit our first category. And that is our Rookie and Newcomer of the Year. Simply put, this is the person who is inside of either their first full year with the company or is on their first year on the main roster. Now, again, our categories ranged where some of them had just a handful of choices, maybe 8, 9, 10 choices. And yeah, largest vote count. I love it. Believe me, couldn't be prouder, DeMario. But at the end of the day, we wanted to see, all of them have their most available options. And again, we got it knocked all the way down to 5 individuals for the Newcomer of the Year or Rookie of the Year. Blake Monroe, who was just recently the NXT Women's North American Champion, lost it in what some are calling the upset of the year to Thea Hale. Dark State absolutely making a run through NXT's tag team division. Julia, you can include her, honestly, on both the rookie and the newcomer side, with her making her run through NXT, but also her initial stop through the main roster. You could say the same for Stephanie Vaquer down at the end. And then the first full year on the main roster for Roxanne Perez, a great run at the Royal Rumble, longest running time in women's history, and the longest run through the Elimination Chamber of anybody in their first year. And of course, multiple tag team golds with Raquel as the year went along. Jacob Fatu was our winner last year. He was on the list for the newcomer because he did have an opportunity to try to get that first year on the main roster, but ultimately didn't make the cut. But, we talk about it, but nobody wants to know about that. They want to know who won. So let's find out. Once again, let me hit a little button here. There's my little sensor. I need one of those little clicker things. Somebody hook me up. But the winner of our first award of the day, our Rookie or Newcomer of the Year, is Stephanie Vaquer. I don't think this one necessarily comes as a surprise to anyone. What an immaculate year, both on NXT and on the main roster, as she absolutely took both divisions by storm. No pun intended to Jade Cargill, who we may or may not see later, but getting 76.2% of the votes. Roxanne was second with about 16, just under 17% of the votes. But this was an absolute runaway. I think this was our largest margin of victory of anybody on any particular category, and absolutely not a surprise that Vacquer was in a league all her own when it came to Rookie of the Year. Now the only question is, was it good enough for her to net anything else? I guess we'll find out. Dark State got robbed, according to DeMario. Yes, ma'am. She did her big one this year from Alyssa, so absolutely true. Let's move to number 2. And that is turning the page to our heel of the year, the ultimate bad guy. Last year, Dom Mysterio winning it in 2024, and he's back up there again to try to see if he can retain his heel of the year status. Excuse me. But some definite good heels in there along the way. All Ego Ethan Page. What a run as a monstrous heel down in NXT. Of course, we all know what Dominic's done throughout this year to try to see if he can retain his spot. Drew McIntyre, a consistent thorn in both CM Punk and Cody Rhodes' side. I don't think you got to say much about Gunther and what exactly he's done. Maybe the, great heel within the company in terms of old school wrestling. And then the only female nominee this year was Naomi with the great heel push after revealing that she was the person who attacked and put Jade Cargill through the car. Of course, that moment is what led to her inevitable heel push, and what a heel push it was with her new caution line, eventually leading to a cash-in and the Women's World Championship. But there can only be one. 4 bad boys, 1 bad girl. No, DeMario, the host, did not help set that one up. This is nothing if not legit. No, she really did make the top 5. But the question is now, I can see if you could blame me if she wins. But let's find out if she did. Who is our ultimate heel of the year for 2025? And it goes to back to Dominic Mysterio. Dominic once again putting up another fantastic year, and this year doing it in 2 brands, doing it just like he did in the main roster in NXT. This year doing it in main roster and with the new acquisition of AAA, and he ended up scoring over half, actually exactly half of the total votes amongst everyone. So a pretty convincing win. Naomi did finish second on the list, so a lot of people thought Naomi got a deserving push. Gunther and Ethan Page also getting respectable vote numbers there as well. You can sit here and say, hey, and Mike, it's legit. Okay, now. But, you can go through all of this. But at the end of the day, Dominic Mysterio continues to show exactly what it is. And for a person that, when Dominic was first coming in, I think a lot of us thought, he's too sweet looking. We've always known him as that cute little kid in the stories with him and Eddie Guerrero and Ray. There's no way he could be a bad guy. And now there's a person that you may not boo louder. But there may not be anyone that, ultimately gets booed louder, maybe other than, Gunther right up there. But Dominic, for the 2nd year in a row, taking heel of the year. We'll see if the voters want him back to take a shot at a 3-peat for next year. Let's turn the page to our 3rd category here, and that is our burn moment of the year. Always one of our fun ones. What is the moment that was just like, oh, Lord, that one hurt? And we had a lot of good categories. This was one of those that kind of rolled out for about 20, 30 different nominations, and reducing it down to 5 was very difficult. But just going in chronological order, we have the New Day 10-year celebration telling Big E he's never going to be cleared, almost leading to tears in that building. And that if Big E, greatest Otra Award winner of all time, and it's not just us saying it, maybe Sports Illustrated will say it for Dom, but never going to be cleared. CM Punk and Seth Rollins is back and forth. Both of those promos happened on the same night, actually, where Seth looked at CM Punk and said, you took a chunk of change to go fight for the competition. Later that same evening, they went back head-to-head again, and for CM Punk coming back into Seth's face and stating that for 7 years they've chanted my name even when I was not even here. Who are they chanting for? Naomi once again makes it onto the panel in her bitter story with with her bitter story of her admitting to Bianca Belair that she was the one that pushed Jade Cargill, the tears immediately turning into anger. Once again, also our only female representatives on this particular one. And then finally, the final promo between John Cena and Cody Rhodes just before WrestleMania, when John Cena angrily told him, "I make empires for billionaires. You just steal money from their kids." And that one felt like a personal burn as well. Happy to see you, Gary. Happy New Year once again. I appreciate you jumping in here for a few minutes to join us. And, thank you all for the love that you do and everything else, and the appreciation. We've got some shout outs that are coming up here in a little while, and it's great to see, the powers that be stepping in here to support the show here at the end of the year, especially when everybody is doing New Year's plans. But with that, let's go ahead and find out who won our bird moment of the year. And that will go to, pause for effect, I make empires for billionaires, John Cena's burn on Cody Rhodes. And I don't think this one was much of one. A shot to the differences between the Triple H regime and the Vince McMahon regime, basically stating, look, I'm the corporate guy. Fine, I'll be the corporate guy. I will make empires for billionaires. This was definitely a closer one than the other ones we've seen. 35% of the vote going to that one. A dead tie between CM Punk's 7 years and the green one was Naomi's one with Bianca Belair back in March. But some respectable voting across the way, but it is John Cena that inevitably takes the gold for burn moment of the year. And that's actually the first title or first Otra award that Cena's ever won. Not that he's had many opportunities, and of course his final year to try to get onto our book. So we'll see how many that he is able to come up with. Happy New Year to Andy, who's jumped into our group here. So give him a little shout out over there. But with that, we'll move to our next category. And that is our oh wow moment of the year. What is the one that made your jaw drop? What's the one that made you just absolutely go, there is absolutely no way they just did that? I actually just got done watching the Unreal documentary on Netflix for the first time. Surprisingly, it took me that long. And it was really just a great showing of behind the scenes of just the oh wow moments and just how many people and how close to the vest that a lot of these were created. Demario saying Dom greater than Cena in the Otra universe. And he may not be wrong. But last year, The Rock holding Monday Night Raw, telling him, no, just because the cameras go off doesn't mean I'm done. This is what happens when you F with the final boss. And that definitely made everybody cringe just a little. But on this one, our 5 nominees, Cody Rhodes ultimately hitting the Alabama Slam, putting Kevin Owens in a very unique position through a table at Royal Rumble for last year. Of course, John Cena's heel turn with The Rock telling him, cut the neck, cut the throat. Paul Heyman's double heel turn at WrestleMania, turning and low blowing both CM Punk and Roman Reigns within minutes of each other. And then the respective returns of both Brock Lesnar and AJ Lee within a month of each other, both leading to some oh wow moments. Ones that definitely, I don't think Brock's was necessarily a surprise to anyone, but AJ coming back after being gone for so long was definitely one that was a great moment. But let's go ahead and move to our selection here in terms of who wins. Our 2025 oh wow moment of the year goes to Cena's heel turn. And I don't think anyone will necessarily be surprised. I think there were a couple that were more head and shoulders above the rest. But it definitely, you could see over half the vote went to Cena's heel turn at Elimination Chamber. And when it's the ultimate story of the Unreal series that they did for Netflix, you can definitely see why it is. AJ's return finishing second on that list. Heyman's double heel turn also getting a respectable number of votes as well. But it is John Cena, after 20 years of hustle, loyalty, and respect, finally saying, Fine, Cody, you don't want to be the corporate guy. You don't want to be the Rocks champ. That's fine. I'll go be the Rocks champ. I'll take that. And getting a chance to see that moment. And also that feeling, that feeling in the pit of your stomach where your stomach just dropped when you saw Cena lose the smile and was looking at The Rock before you knew it was coming. Like even before the kick actually happened, that feeling in your chest that's like, oh, here it comes. No way. He's not really going to do it, is he? And yet he did. What a moment, to say the least. And I think that, as H said in the moment, if they wanted Elimination Chamber to sell because of something big, I think they accomplished the goal. Next up, our debut or return of the year. Last year, it was the debut of the Wyatt Six. What a moment that they had in 2024, completely laying out, well, everyone in the backstage area through gorilla position. Just an absolute demolishment of the entire WWE stage, universe, everything. And so whoever was going to be up this year was definitely going to have some big shoes to fill. And you've got 5 nominees that are up there, all of them worthy in their own respect. AJ Lee needs really no introduction, 10 plus years away from the business, now standing here once again as a SmackDown superstar, with a lot of people thinking that she was never going to lace up her Chuck Taylors anymore, but yet here she is. Blake Monroe, shockingly coming from AEW to make her debut, previously Mariah May over in AEW, and now you have her as Blake Monroe here in NXT. She actually has a unique position. Just a little fun fact here. She's actually the first person who has an opportunity in this year's awards to win an award for 2 different companies, because there is 2 awards in which case she is nominated for an AEW award as well, that we'll be seeing a little bit later. So it could be interesting that she could actually take home awards from us in 2 different ones. John Cena's return and the entire scenario of his retirement tour, really doesn't need much more to that. Liv Morgan's return, she snuck that one in right at the last second, so I think she nets maybe a little benefit of, recent nostalgia as she came back and returned 2 days before the voting timeline was over, and then The Rock's multiple returns at the beginning of the year, just narrowly beating out a couple of others to make it onto our final list. But there can only, again, be one, and that will lead us to the winner of the 2025 debut or return of the year. It's AJ Lee. And believe me, no one was shouting at this screen louder than I was, except for maybe Punk himself. But he looked like a proud papa standing over there as his wife came out, and Chicago went completely nuts for AJ. And I think the voting is pretty respectable on this one as well. 2/3 of the votes going to AJ Lee. That was a huge moment. I've been to PLEs this year in which I heard crowds not that loud as it was that night in Chicago. And AJ, putting back on her Bite Me shirts and everything else. Just what a moment for her to come back. Respectable numbers for both Liv Morgan and for John Cena. But it's AJ by far and away a long shot on this one, and I think definitely well deserved. Let's continue forward, and that will put us into our final 2 categories for the first half of our show. We are moving a little bit quicker because that was something that was asked for, so we're trying to keep it at about an hour, give or take a little bit. And right now we're sitting around 26 minutes. Oh, good Lord, DeMario. Can we call the AEW award the Testy? Oh, Jesus. Let's go and throw that up there. What do y'all think? Should we also, I want some names for our trophies and our awards. Do we want to actually put something together? I mean, we have enough popularity amongst the NXT folks in the Performance Center. Can we actually turn this into a thing? Maybe create some little miniature trophies like what Anna got me over here, and we could actually send it to them. Can we make this a thing? What do you think, Gary? Can we make this happen? But let's find out. But either way, the first of our final 2 categories on this front half, then we'll take a real brief intermission, and it's our NXT female and male superstars of the year. We do begin with the female superstars, one that always sits near and dear to both my heart and, of course, to good old Demario in there. Jada, as he said, got robbed last year. I thought Kalani got robbed last year because it was ultimately Roxanne Perez who took the female superstar of the year, not eligible this year. So we do have some good competitors, and each one of them in their own right, is deserving of being on this banner. Gary saying we can make anything happen. So let's make this. I would like to see this a thing. Let's see if we can make this happen maybe starting next year, or hey, if we want to throw something together for this year, I don't mind doing it. But our 5 superstars available for NXT Female Superstar of the Year, and what was a very unique year, because you had NXT superstars wrestling not just in NXT, not just every now and then on the main roster or in main roster PLE, such as Evolution, Elimination Chamber, Royal Rumble, etc. But then you also had them wrestling in AAA and in TNA, and even a handful of them went over to Japan. So you have superstars from NXT, male and female, going all over the place. And so what a year for our NXT female superstars, who probably do the most traveling of anybody, despite the fact that they think, oh, it's easier. I don't agree with that in any form or fashion. But our 5 competitors that make the last vote this year is our NXT Women's Champion Jacy Jayne, pulling the upset of Stephanie Vaquer mid-year, holding the TNA Knockouts World Championship for a little while simultaneously with the Women's Championship. Jada Parker, a fantastic opening half of the year. Good to see her still make the vote. A lot of people supporting Jordynne Grace and her flip from TNA back over to NXT, and then seeing if her transition, especially during the invasion or the war storyline with TNA, played a role. Kalani Jordan, holding the Women's North American Championship previously, but this year winning the TNA Knockouts World Championship on TNA TV. And holding it for a while, leading to some loyalty questions for Kalani herself. And then Lola Vice, several opportunities at main roster gold this year, but also was the one who took over the great female side of the push for WWE's acquisition of AAA, and has been a mainstay over there, competing for their women's championship and also the respective titles in TNA and NXT as well. We do only have the opportunity to have one winner, though. I think I might turn that into a tagline. There can only be one. And this year, of course, and before we do get to the final vote here, the 6 respective superstars of the year, the 2 from NXT, the 2 from AEW, and the 2 from the main roster, all will advance to a final vote at the end for the overall superstar of the year. Which so far through 3 years, all 3 years, has been won by a female competitor. So definitely some opportunities there. But let's get the first person that's going to advance to that final vote. The winner of the 2025 NXT Female Superstar of the Year goes to Jacy Jayne. Jason, and we got some yays from our little in-house crowd here, but Jacy Jayne, I think a lot of people said maybe forgotten about, maybe one where she was kind of just falling to the back, the long lost member of Toxic Attraction, trying to now lead her own group. Fatal Influence kind of at the beginning of the year, sitting almost in a boat, but a boat that seemed to not be going anywhere. But inevitably that upset win over Stephanie Vaquer just shot her to the top of the rankings, and the win to win the Knockouts Championship as well just kind of solidified it. And she has taken on any and all challengers. The very brief loss of the title for about a month to Tatum Paxley, really the only blemish in the second half of the year for Jacy. And now you've got Fatal Influence feeling very much like Toxic Attraction did a few years ago, where they're inevitably holding most, if not all, of the gold soon enough. But as you can see, the vote was very close. Jordynne Grace nearly sneaking in there and pulling this one out in her first full year with NXT as well. Also a respectable vote for Kalani Jordan and for Lola Vice as well. But it is our NXT Women's Champion, Jacy Jayne, winning Female Superstar of the Year. I believe that matches up with NXT from yesterday, and advancing her to our final vote for the overall Superstar of the Year. Gary also putting in their recency bias had had him thinking Sol Ruca. And I was actually quite surprised myself that Sol did not make this group. But, our nomination show allows us to be able to take dozens of people. And this year we had to even take into consideration who was here long enough to be considered, possibly someone from maybe TNA or somebody like that to be considered. But inevitably, Sol Ruca not making our final five, despite the fact that she was over there and a fantastic competitor with NXT, absolutely deserving, in my opinion. And I think if she had made the final five, would have definitely been of much consideration for that. But it does go to JC Jane for us. And that will move us into our final vote of our first half. Then we're going to let everybody take a small little break here. And as we said, it is our male superstar of the year. Last year, it was the Ruler, Obafemi. And this year, he gets an opportunity, like Dom Mysterio earlier today, gets an opportunity to try to retain his spot. But he does have some tough competition. And I'd like to note for the record that between the Mania Club and On the Ring Apron, we got this one exactly right, because our five nominees matched exactly the same five nominees that NXT had last night for the show. The only question is, will our winner be the same one as what they voted for, as Javon Evans was the winner from the NXT awards side, end of year awards. So it'll definitely be interesting to see. Jordan, that boy Bouncy, also saying shocked that Jada didn't get as many votes. Her pop is always amazing at shows. And once again, another popular person saying Sol Ruca should have been in there. Again, she'd made the top five. I definitely would have argued that she would have did it. But, when you have to eliminate, reduce down a list from dozens of people down to just five, sometimes you might have to make a tough choice. And ultimately, that's what we ended up with. But it's Ethan Page holding both the NXT North American Championship as well as half of the mixed tag titles from AAA. Javon Evans seemingly destined to be the next NXT champion if Leon doesn't get it done next week. The now two-time NXT champion and reigning and defending male superstar of the year, Obafemi. The Revolution, Ricky Saints, now with a little bit of a nasty heel turn on his front. And the year of Trick Williams, possibly the final time we see him on this one. He was a nominee last year. And I believe, if memory serves me, I think he was the newcomer last year. But was on this one and absolutely deserves another opportunity to be able to be back on the list, holding the TNA World Championship for a little while. Of course, the NXT Championship previously. But we're just going to make it a thing. I'm just going to do it. There can only be one. And we are going to go ahead and get it again. Also, the winner moves on to our final overall vote. The winner of the 2025 NXT Male Superstar of the Year goes to the Ruler. It's once again Obafemi for the second year in a row. I mean, the man ran the place. And you can see almost half the vote from our panel going to Obafemi in this particular instance. Far and away running away with this one. A very respectable vote for Javon Evans. I fully anticipate that he's going to be right here again next year in either this or the main roster category, depending upon where he is. But they are that boy Bouncy, but they going, what did H say? I'm going to strap a rocket to his backside and see what he can do. But it's Obafemi. You can see the push he's already getting to main roster. Future WWE World Champion, says Gary, and he's absolutely correct. This is the man's a beast. And considering that he didn't even step into a wrestling ring at this time as of 3-4 years ago, he was out there running track and field at Alabama, Roll Tide, especially going into tomorrow. And now here he is absolutely dominating, putting up like Gunther-like numbers in terms of what percentage of his career he's been holding a championship of some kind. But it's definitely a title worth deserving, and another repeat champion from NXT, Dom Mysterio repeating as heel of the year, and now Obafemi retaining his NXT Male Superstar of the Year from last year, and will have an opportunity to be our overall at the end of the year. So That does bring us to the halfway point of our show. We're going to pause the stream here for just a couple of minutes here, let everybody go get something to drink. Once again, shout out to everyone that's been a part of this. It's wonderful to see the powers that be in here. You see DeMario, you see Gary, you see Bert, I think dropped in for a little bit. Jordan, everyone else that's been in here, of course, Alyssa and Anna over here in the audience, giving us time, as well as Callie the cat. Let's give some thing. And also, a virtual shout out again to our sponsor, W Energy. The promo code's been running across the bottom the whole time. It's fantastic stuff, wonderful flavors. And I'm not even just paid to say that. I truly do believe it. It's one of those pick your things. And if you use promo code OTRA, you get 10% off and we get paid a little. So, everybody wins in the end. But we're going to go ahead and take a break here for just a couple minutes. And then we are going to be right back. So hang with us here for just a couple of minutes. Go get yourself a drink. Go get yourself something to kind of relax the thought here. Let me rest the voice here for a moment. And then we will be right back. Where is my pause button? There it is. So give us just a couple of minutes and we'll be right back. And we welcome you back here. Let me go ahead and get that lovely background music turned off. I wasn't aware that was a thing, but apparently it is. But again, I want to take a moment here as we enter the second half of our OTRA awards this year. Our biggest one up to this date, over 40 members of our panel selected from over 200 or 300 people between the Mania Club and our OTRAverse. Just wonderful group of people. I love everything I do about this. You can see Jared Sign over here joining us, as we're going to be our Atlanta representatives this year for the events coming up in February, as well as any others to come. Of course, we've got our OTRA trophy here, our sponsors, W Energy, sitting there giving us things. And of course, has already been mentioned, our now loyal guardian Tiger Derpy from K-Pop Demon Hunters also joining us here to make sure that no one gets too crazy in the crowd. But also, this is one sweetly given to me by the girls, so I wanted to let them be a part of all of this. But on behalf of myself and, myself, Alyssa, Kia, Landon, everybody, the girls, everybody who gets to be a part of this, it is a fantastic and absolute honor and joy to get to be a part of this all the time, to get to feel like, I have the prestige and the importance to do something to represent Mania Club this way. I'm hoping that, it brings light to everything that we do. It was another wonderful year for our entire club, and I couldn't be prouder to be a part of this group. We joined originally when there was maybe about 2,200 people. Now, 200,000 plus. What's the Gary DeMario? Either one. What's the actual number we're at right now? I'd be curious to see. But we were somewhere in the early 2000s in terms of total members when we originally jumped in. Alyssa joined us. We were maybe at like 40 or 50,000 at the time. So it was definitely something else. She's correcting me. She said 13. So somewhere along the lines we got that big jump. But I'd be curious to know what our member count is right now, because it's insane to see how it is. Gary, you absolutely took the words out of my mouth. It's going to be a special year in 2026, and I'd like to think that I'm privy to things maybe just a hair sooner than everyone else is, but at the same time, I always get just enough surprises and just enough things to where we get to go along for the ride. And now we have even more little people that have decided to join up with us, and we might be having to spend a pretty penny on what would it be, 8 jerseys this year instead of 5. Gary says north of 215,000 people now. Just ironically, I watched a video the other day, Big Hirsch putting out a video out there for Thea Hale standing in front of the 100,000 jersey that a whole bunch of people signed. And I put it in my last plate exchange that ultimately went up for auction and went to yours truly. So it's sitting over there in my little NXT corner over there. I'll have to put that on the wall there next time. But definitely something else. But what a moment. And one voice out of 215,000, it can be very quiet. And yet folks like y'all trust, myself, Kia, Alyssa, the girls, to get a chance to do something that's as fun as this. And we love every second of it. And we do have one shout out that I want to go ahead and get onto our thing. One of our members here, Zach, with a nice shout out for our group. So I'm going to let him take the wheel here for a second.
Hey everybody, no TRA land, Zachary Weiss here, representing Mania Club. Appreciate the opportunity to be a voter and to use our time, money, and energy to do some amazing things. 2025 was another fantastic year for us, and that only brings a challenge. What's 2026 going to look like? We're excited for that. We know what 2025 was in the wrestling landscape and what that looked like, and that only makes for a more exciting 2026. But we hope that everybody in all promotions is healthy and the storylines are as well. So what a blessing that is. Cheers to an amazing 2025. Congratulations to all the award winners from all of us at Mania Club, and on to 2026. Appreciate y'all. Let's love one another. Let's come together and do some amazing things. Bring it on.
And a nice shout out from Zach there. I appreciate him taking the time to give a chance to give a shout out to everything that we do. We're all just one person, amongst an entire group, but when we all come together, it truly does show that it makes a difference, Gary. Absolutely. If everybody would donate $1 on January 1st, just imagine the crazy place of a takeover that, Mania Club could be able to present. If everybody, can you picture 250,000 people each donating just $1 in a day? Really, really let that sink in. I mean, almost $250,000 going to all of our worthy causes and everything else. And it barely is a dent to any of us, but when we all come together, this one's for you, Anna, and we work in tandem. I can't sing, but I'm gonna do it anyway. There's your one shameless song there, DeMario. But you're absolutely correct. What a difference we're making, and I can't wait to see what 2026 is going to bring. But with that, let's jump back into our award show. Welcome to the second half. Give everybody time to take themselves a little bathroom break or whatnot. And we re-enter into our categories with our first AEW award for this calendar year. As we said, there are 4 AEW awards. I'm going to have to get some folks in here that know a little bit more about it than I do. I pay just enough attention to know who the champions are by my own admittance. James is our big guy here when it comes to AEW, but definitely put out some fun things. And having such a large panel also helps when you are putting up the opportunity to be able to get these unique ones. So hopefully these are some names that make a difference. We mentioned Blake Monroe, aka formerly Mariah May, who was actually the winner of the Breakout Star of the Year last year, winning the AEW Women's World Title there for a little while. Obviously not in the running this year, but we do have 5 great names, including 3 in their women's division. You have Anna Jay, Harley Cameron, and Megan Bain all making it from the women's division. And then you have the absolute high-flying and just fun overall just talent of Kyle Fletcher, multiple top-level matches. His name is becoming synonymous, and this is the year that he really did take off. And then, of course, the final push and the big year for Mark Briscoe, losing his brother a couple of years ago. Still sad about that, but ultimately winning himself championship gold this year and has really broken out as a big star over on the AEW side. But there can only be one. And with that, our 2025 AEW Breakout Superstar of the Year this year is Harley Cameron. Harley I'm not going to sit here and say necessarily she came out of nowhere. I think a lot of people were introduced to the talent level that Cameron has. However, the way she just jumped off the map really seemed to stretch things out in terms of her overall talent. Kyle Fletcher also getting a very respectable vote of numbers there. But at the end of the day, it is Harley Cameron taking the AEW Breakout Superstar of the Year. And you will wait to see, is she on her way to any type of AEW championship gold this year, assuming Mercedes will let any of it go. Moving back over to the WWE side, this is where we kind of start seeing the categories start playing in rhythm because, of course, if you're going to have an AEW Breakout Superstar of the Year, you need a WWE Breakout Superstar of the Year. Last year, we saw the push of Damian Priest when finally moving into the world title picture, cashing in Money in the Bank at WrestleMania, and winning the World Heavyweight Championship. Fantastic push. Some might say he's kind of starting to let it slip a little bit with his intense rivalries, now leading to his rivalry with Aleister Black. But the Breakout Star of the Year is the one that, in our opinion, made the biggest jump from the start of the voting period until the end of the voting period in 5 fantastic names, including a pair of 2025 Otra Award winners, or Otra Mania Club Award winners already. Braun Breaker, the badass, possibly world champion here in about a week. Seeing some crossed fingers over there from Anna on the shelf. I think she might like herself some big dog over there, Braun Breaker. Heel of the Year and the double champ Dom Mysterio on this one is, ironically, I think he was in the breakout vote 2 years ago and was in it. So it seems like he's breaking out. So he's just finding new levels and new layers of categories to be able to continue to be a part of. Jade Cargill, absolutely deserving of being on this list. breaking into the singles competition and really getting a chance to show what she can do from the women's division. Of course, our WWE Women's Champion right now, Stephanie Vaquer, a winner earlier as the, just the what was it? Not premiere, it's debut or whatnot. But she won that one and is up for a couple of others. And then one that I think might have been a surprise to make our final five. It certainly was a surprise to me, but Tatum Paxley finding a way to sneak her way. I think the later push of her championship run being later in the year, I do think helps to play to her advantage, because sometimes it's real easy to forget what happened at the beginning of the year and be willing to go look at necessarily who's not for better terms, who's hot at the time, who caught fire at the right time, which is right at the award time or voting time. But she makes the list. Gary coming in there saying he would pick Dom. I don't remember off the top of my head who I picked on this one. My vote was like 16 days ago. I voted like when we first got started and then forgot about it because I have to try to keep my bias to a minimum. But hey, I'm only one of the panel members here, but there can only be one. Let's see what Mania Club and Otraverse says. The 2025 WWE Breakout Superstar of the Year goes to Dominic Mysterio. This man keeps finding ways to create new layers in terms of his, because he went from here, Jordan, absolutely true. That one was really tough. This was one, and I think the fact that Dom ended up with such a high percentage of the votes really kind of plays to just how much Dom does. And the reality is we sit here and say breakout, but I think this is like the second time he's won it. And the third or fourth time, I think he's been nominated every single year we've done this. So the number one chicken tender says Zach Weiss. I think that one is there. We put your shout out earlier, Zach. Thank you so much for the nice message. Good to see you here in our chat. But yeah, Dom, absolutely deserving. How many more times can you break out though, and continue to keep doing it? But if he wins the world title next year, does that mean he's going to break out again? Like, how does this work? How does he keep doing this? But Dominic Mysterio, our breakout superstar of the year, well deserving. Our number one chicken tender, says Zach. But that one was one of our tougher categories. And I think the fact that Dom ended up in such a loaded field, especially with folks like Jade Cargill, Braun Breaker, Tatum Paxley having the advantage of it being more recent, it really does set the tone of just what a year Dominic has had, and really breaking out. A lot of it also potentially be whatnot, in terms of what he did also in AAA. Zach, there's an acknowledgement, a shout out from the boss himself, Gary, saying he acknowledges you for the nice message you left. Again, Zach, it's always a joy. You've actually our panel member for the second time for us this time around. So Zach, is always your help is always appreciated. But let's continue forward into our next category. Yeah, get my little thing back over here and move us into our next category. We'll flip the page here, and that moves us to our tag team or stable of the year. One that very quietly kind of goes under the radar with, singles championships kind of being, the cream of the crop. But we also need to give it up to our teams and our stables. And there are 5 very deserving groups here. What was originally known as the new bloodline at the time, which eventually became the MFTs, because Jacob was still with them last year, was the winner of the 2024 version, as I have a cat trying to sneak up here into my lap. So we may get a shameless shout out here from one of our cats on the table here in a minute. But the MFTs, what was known as the new bloodline, taking it last year. Only one actual tag team in this particular category, and that is Mania Club, sweethearts and favorite DIY. Definitely. I feel like as long as Mania Club is doing is a part of this, DIY, Johnny, Tommaso are always going to find their way onto our panel, and absolutely deserving. So, and whatnot. You have Fatal Influence. We talked about them earlier with our NXT Female Superstar of the Year, JC Jane, holding a lot of gold over there. The women's speed title also in the hands of Fallon Henley. So Fatal Influence carrying things. The Judgment Day making it for the third consecutive year in its third different iteration, as it seems like every year they find a way to evolve and do just enough to be able to make it. They won it the year that Rhea and Damian were still part of it, and their group makes it in again, half the year, though, without Liv Morgan and the introduction of Roxanne Perez as part of the group. The Vision, majority of the year having Seth Rollins as the leader of the Vision. We've, of course, now seen Seth get removed from the group and now has been replaced and brought in. You've brought in Logan Paul. You've brought in now Austin Theory, now the latest member. You're seeing folks that they want to push as like the next generation of stars. And then the Wyatt Six, the current WWE Tag Team Champions, made the panel last year, ultimately did not win it, but definitely deserving of a spot on this board for our Tag Team of the Year. But as we have now made a catchphrase, and I love it, there can only be one. The 2025 Tag Team or Stable of the Year goes to the Wyatt Six. The Wyatt Six, in what was probably one of the more tougher categories to really be able to put things. You can see the vote, with really the exception of Fatal Influence, pretty split, very close. This one came down to just a handful of panel members really deciding this one. But they had a fantastic year, a really good build leading to the tag team titles about mid-year. Of course, the fantastic 6-team TLC match at SummerSlam. Alyssa and I got to see that in person in New Jersey. I have a feeling we're going to be seeing that one again here in a few minutes. But what a great year from the Wyatt Six. And you can see other candidates. You see a good run from Judgment Day. You see a good run from the Vision. And both of them I fully anticipate will be there next year. But it is the Wyatt Six taking the award for this year. Next up on our panel is the Promo of the Year. Probably one of the more fun ones we have every year. This is not an oh wow. This is not a burn. This is not a this is just straight up backstage promo, or grab a man, give the man a mic, and just let them go to work. No lead up to a match, no lead up to anything along the way. It is simply just hand somebody a mic and watch them go to work. I am going to turn off my panel down here for just a moment for our W Energy sponsor so you can see the whole thing. But it is very similar to Burn of the Year if the point of it was to burn somebody. So you could possibly see some similarities as we do see two things return. The New Day's heel turn, telling Big E he'll never be cleared, and finally completing that heel push at their 10-year anniversary. Also, Naomi's promo with Bianca Belair in March, where she admits that she's the one that attacked Jade Cargill, the tears leading to the anger, the bedazzled neck brace. I mean, come on, the whole thing sold itself well, and inevitably led to me creating a new show, The Contrarian. I guess I need to find some more time to put some more episodes. But also three other good ones in there. Oba's great promo in February saying, I control the narrative. I'm the captain now. I run the ship. Fantastic promo down in NXT. CM Punk's conversation with Cody Rhodes just before the Royal Rumble happened here in Atlanta, saying, everyone else is going to stab you in the back. I'll at least look you in the eye, and I'll tell you I'll stab you in the front. A great way to drop that final promo just before the Royal Rumble. Of course, Rhodes and Punk, some of the final ones that were in the Rumble this year, inevitably neither of them winning it, with Jey Uso going over. But it did lead to a fantastic story between the two. And then, of course, down on the end, the John Cena pipe bomb, an infamous play to CM Punk's pipe bomb from back in 2012 with him airing out his grievances. But Cena, while Punk was sitting and had been thrown to a table, he goes through, he mentions a few names on camera that are not with the company anymore, and basically states his piece on the matter. And he had to have had an absolute blast doing that one. You knew this one was going to make it. Very similar to the winner from last year, which was Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes meeting at Georgia Tech, stating, you're in my way in life. And, of course, that led to them teaming up. Now they're kind of back at odds again. So we'll see what the Tribal Chief and the American Nightmare have. But, again, there can only be one. Let's find out who takes it. Our 2025 WWE or NXT promo of the year goes to... Could have been doing this the whole time. The Cena pipe bomb. And I don't think this one necessarily surprises anyone. The pipe bomb, absolutely deserving of it. It did get nearly half the votes. The entire retirement tour was just one where you could tell it was just Cena wanting to not just shape the future, but also you could tell he wanted to have fun every step of the way. And when you finally got into that story with CM Punk, seeing the roles reversing, Cena now as the bad guy, seeing him sitting over there while Punk has to lay uncomfortably laying on a table while Cena is dropping bombs on everybody else. It was fantastic to see. You can see a pretty even split amongst everybody else. In fact, it's a three-way tie between Naomi, the New Day, and Cody and Punk for second place. So this one, maybe Cena reaps a little benefit of some split voting down at the bottom, but in the end, I think he comfortably wins this one, but the Cena pipe bomb takes our promo of the year. Throw some things up here because I just realized my banner is still up, but let me go and throw that back at the bottom because, hey, Daddy's got to keep the lights on. Bert dropping in here. Thank you so much for joining us here. But seeing watching Punk sit in the corner for an eternity made it hard to suspend disbelief. I absolutely agree with that. But also you saw Cena having to lay uncomfortably. If you go back and watch Punk's pipe bomb years ago, Cena with his neck kind of curled up on on the table. He looked very uncomfortable through all of this as Punk started name dropping across everybody as well. Bert, thank you so much for everything that you do as well. And Demario will tell you, I like you said you would do for us last year. I sang for a couple of seconds. For Anna over there in the audience. So, I'll take my credit and move forward. But let's see, where are we at? Hello, and the cat joins me again over here. Let's move back over to AEW. And now we're going to enter into our two categories for the match of the year. This is that unique part of our award show that makes this a little more special. And in this one particular year, very unique. Let me explain. Blake Monroe has been nominated for several categories over in NXT, but her match with Timeless Toni Storm, the Hollywood ending match for the AEW Women's World title, all the way back at the beginning of the year in March, or near the beginning of our voting segment, is up for match of the year. So it leaves Blake / Mariah with an opportunity to potentially win our award working for two different companies. So let's see if that's enough. Her match with Toni Storm, the Hollywood ending from Revolution, making it there. Also from Revolution, Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher in their steel cage match from Revolution. The summer blockbuster match, the second coming of between Will Ospreay and definitely Mania Club favorite Swerve Strickland, making it here. He was our AEW male superstar of the year last year and could very well be up in the running again. We may see him a little later. And then two matches from All In Texas, the Hangman Adam Page and John Moxley for the world title in the Texas Death Match, and the Women's World Championship match between Timeless Toni Storm and Mercedes Moné. The match, of course, infamously handing Mercedes her first loss since joining AEW. Before, of course, she would start her run to win, like, what'd she get to? Like 12, 13 championships before. But you can see that the decline is starting now. I think she's down to 9 or 10 now. So the decline is starting. But some absolutely fantastic matches. Even if you're not a hardcore watcher of AEW, these were still ones that were worth jumping back in for and well-deserving. But there can only be one. Let's find out who the AEW match of the year goes to. A little drum roll from Anna over there. I love it. And it is Mariah May and Toni Storm, the Hollywood ending match back in March, taking the championship. So despite the fact that she has worked for over half the year with NXT, Blake Monroe / Mariah May taking home a Mania Club Ultra Award with a very narrow victory over the match between Timeless Toni Storm and Mercedes Moné. But it is ultimately the Revolution match, the Hollywood ending, where essentially Mariah was shown the door. But they considered that to be our AEW match of the year and well-deserving. A good showing by the women this year, as you end up with the top two matches from AEW this year, both being women's matches. Good showing from, and Toni Storm being in both of them. They talk about some folks leaving AEW and, or leaving WWE. And if you do, your career's over. Not Storm. If anything, her career has been revitalized by going to AEW. And two people that are up at the top. That was last year's winner, Bryan Danielson and Swerve Strickland, also revitalizing their career. So it may be, depending upon how you look at it, does it match up with WWE? Is it considered a really good second level? But there are some people who go there, and that's where their careers kind of go to wrap up. And then there are others that go there, and their careers completely take it to another level. So congratulations to Mariah and Toni Storm for our match of the year, and congratulations to all of our candidates, all five of them really good. That's why you see such even votes. From the WWE side, though, we actually get a unique perspective this year, as last year we had over 100 different candidates for match of the year. And not all of them, we started noticing as we started filtering through them, that not all of them came just from premium live events. There were a lot of good matches on Raw, NXT, AAA, TNA, and SmackDown as well. And so we made the command decision, we're going to split them up. So we have first our non-PLE match of the year, which was any match that did not take place on a Peacock or Netflix premium live event. So basically that means it happened either on just straight TNA TV, AAA, NXT, Monday Night Raw, or Friday Night SmackDown. And boy, do we have some doozies. Going all the way back to early December, one of the very first matches we had was a matchup between Javon Evans and Wes Lee, no longer with NXT, but they had an absolute barn burner at the 2300 NXT show in Philadelphia. Of course, CM Punk and Seth Rollins, their steel cage match on the Raw for Netflix, absolutely carrying most of their storyline through the early part of the spring. The Tag Team Championship TLC match occurring on SmackDown, the Street Profits defending the the WWE Tag Team titles against the Motor City Machine Guns and DIY in a TLC match. Absolutely fantastic. The matchup for the World Heavyweight Championship between Gunther and Jey Uso that took place in early June in Phoenix. Ultimately, this was the one where Gunther took back the title from Jey, but it definitely gave off every vibe that Jey was going to get it done. And there were also a number of last-moment kickouts by Jey that I don't think we thought were going to occur. And then the first of their two meetings in the later part of the summer between then Women's World Champion Io Sky and NXT Women's Champion Stephanie Vauquer, both of them having fantastic years, and the wonderful match that they ended up having. The only downside to that one was that match did ultimately end with some outside interference, so it was a no contest, but they definitely put on a show worthy of making it on here. 5 great matches. And these are the things you get for, well, I'd say for free, but not really. But there can only be one. The winner of the 2025 non-PLE match of the year. No winner last year because this is a first-time category. And it goes to the Tag Team TLC match from SmackDown with the Street Profits, the Motor City Machine Guns, and DIY. To think TLC matches are something that are far and few in between, and yet you got this one for free, as long as you had USA, of course. But earning almost half the vote, a good showing from Stephanie and Io on Raw, as well as Rollins and Punk on their steel cage match in March. But a fantastic showing by all 3 people. The Street Profits did go on to retain the titles in that particular match. And it would be, the first of 2 is, of course, we would see one at SummerSlam as well, but that one would involve 6 teams. But their match on SmackDown in late April, right after WrestleMania, just absolutely just carrying the crowd, carrying the entire story of SmackDown having the best tag team division. And I still argue to this moment that I think it's right up there, if not the best. And then, of course, with the second half of that, if you have non-PLE, of course, we have to handle the other half of things, and that is the WWE Premium Live Event match of the year, formerly known as the pay-per-view match of the year. Last year, of course, the finale, Cody finishing the story against Roman Reigns, ending the 1,316-day reign of the Tribal Chief. I'm seeing tears from Alyssa right now as she wants things to go back to where they were, because she said life was better when every Premium Live event was ending with Roman holding the gold in his exit theme playing throughout the stadium. But never fear, Roman is on our board this year for an opportunity to be able to get back into the running as his matchup to main event night one of WrestleMania, his triple threat with Seth Rollins and CM Punk, making it onto our list. Less than 24 hours later, you have the triple threat between Io Sky, Rhea Ripley, and Bianca Belair that opened night two of WrestleMania, also making it to our list. From Worlds Collide, a YouTube-based event. Let me turn off my banner here so that way y'all can actually, see the whole thing here. But the AAA championship, mega championship match between El Hijo del Vikingo and Chad Gable, making it onto the list. That, of course, happened on Money in the Bank weekend, where Gable totally only wrestled one match, and his apprentice El Grande Americano competed later on that weekend for an opportunity to win Money in the Bank. I don't care what you say. That's two different people. Judge that as you want. What most people would say was the Premium Live Event of the year. Surprisingly, not an Otra category for us. Maybe we should make it one. But the main event of Evolution happened in Atlanta this year between Io Sky and Rhea Ripley, which inevitably was ended with Naomi's cash-in for the Women's World Championship. And then the match that happened in October at Crown Jewel between John Cena and AJ Styles, a match that strictly happened just because the people asked for it. No story, no reason, no need for somebody to go beat up somebody or anything else. It's just, we want Cena and Styles. All right, you got it. No further discussion needed. And they absolutely put on a great show. So much nostalgia, so many finishers from other people, so many fantastic moments in that match. Really helped you to carry that John Cena legacy as he proceeded forward. Also, of course, a big moment for John Cena as he got career Premium Live Event victory number 100 in his career, only the second person ever to do it. He does retire second on the list with exactly 100 PLE wins, only behind 108 held by The Undertaker. But there can only be one. And this one might have a slight delay because we lost our feed to our secondary screen. So we will have to let everyone kind of sit in suspense here for a moment while I get that fixed up here. But does give us an opportunity to be able to kind of get a quick shout out. Of course, you've been seeing the sponsorship go across the bottom for those that are joining us later because, hey, On the Ring Apron's got to keep the lights on. But W Energy, official sponsor now of On the Ring Apron. You can use a promo code. Go to w.gg. Put in a code for any product they have. They have energy mixtures. They have cups. They have things. I guess while I'm sitting here getting this figured out, I can put us back on here so that way you guys can see them. But we do have the little energy mixtures here as well as the tumbler that is over here on the side. It's fantastic work. All of the different flavors are delicious. And for a person who's trying to find more energy and also trying to also drop a few pounds, it's actually very nice on my front as well. So, definitely an opportunity to do that. But if you go there, you can purchase anything, use the promo code OTRA, you get 10% off. And it helps to, keep us funded and allow us to be able to continue to keep doing what we do as well. So let me get this back up here real quick. My apologies for the delay. This is what happens when you do things live, is sometimes it doesn't quite go to script. But let me go ahead and get that cast back up there so that way we can put our award thing back up there. There it is. And go ahead and share that. Put that back on our stage here. Perfect. All righty. So now I can click back over here and we can finally find out who won. Let everybody have their thoughts here for a couple of minutes. But let's find out, because once again, there can only be one. The winner of the WWE PLE Match of the Year goes to the main event of Evolution. And there was absolutely no doubt, definitely in our house, of this one needing to be the one to take it. And it's not just because of, the love for Naomi and her cash in. Everyone is going to remember that moment of Naomi cashing in and winning the title. But those of us who got a chance to see it in person, and we're sitting third row in our section, Rhea and Io put on a 30-minute masterpiece. Absolutely every spot of the whole live event, really. I mean, even the opening match was deserving of being on this list. The entire card was immaculate. The women showed up and showed out, but Io and Rhea most definitely put on a fantastic show. This was our closest vote of any of our particular votings, as you actually see, very close to a tie. In fact, this only won by a single vote on our panel, because you can see 26 and 26 going for Cena and Styles, and for the Io Rhea Bianca match at night 2. So only by a single panel member. So we're just going to say this guy. Inevitably, this is what puts it over the top, as we nearly had a 3-way tie for this particular one. But if you want to introduce someone to professional wrestling, not just WWE, if you want to introduce someone to professional wrestling in terms of going through every emotional part of it, the good, the bad, the happy, the sad, the kickouts, the moments, and then, of course, the shock of the cash in at the end, show them Io Sky and Rhea Ripley from Evolution. Show them the whole live event, really, but that is the match that needs to be put on there. Nothing short of absolute cinema, absolute perfection in terms of match, well deserving of this moment. And I'm absolutely happy that Evolution, a match where, this needs to be a yearly thing. It needs to be a yearly thing. If this is what we're going to get every year, and I nominate, because it all started in Atlanta, I nominate it should be in Atlanta every year. We volunteer as tribute. Atlanta will take this one for the team. It started in Atlanta. Let's have it always be in Atlanta. Moving on, though, our workhorse of the year. This is my favorite category, without a question, because the workhorse of the year can truly be defined differently for every person. Definition of workhorse varies from person to person. Is it first one in the gym, last one out? Is it the person that shows up for every event? Is it the person that is always down to meet up with fans, always down to take on as many matches as humanly possible? Every single person that falls onto this list is here for a different reason, is here for a different purpose. And for each person and each panel member to be able to classify the workhorse of the year is really dependent upon how you feel about their work ethic. Because you can like a person, you can hate a person, they can be a heel, they can be a face, whatever, but you're going to respect the work. End of discussion. A person who puts in the work is always going to get cheered. And the one person who's not on this list, and I think it's probably just because of the lack of dates, is John Cena, always known for the hustle and the loyalty of his mean, even when he was going through his heel phase. I'm actually kind of surprised he didn't make the panel this year, but the 5 people who did, including a chance for another repeat winner this year in Jey Uso, all getting here for definite reasons. Chad Gable, before his injury, just an absolutely incredible front half of the year. I thought for sure they were going to make him world champion at some point during the year if he doesn't get injured. I hope he's back soon, because his work ethic is unmatched. We talked about Unreal earlier, and I'm happy that our Women's United States champion Chelsea Green makes this list, as she has been a person who has been willing to go anywhere, everywhere. What do you need me to do? Where do you need me to be? whatever. But Chelsea has absolutely been anywhere and everywhere that you need her to be. Dirty Dom, another person very similar to Chelsea. What do you need me to do? Where do you need me to be? Everyone knows how hard he's working in the business. Future world champion, a current double champ. Jey Uso winning the world title just now recently, 2 days ago, getting an opportunity to once again become world tag team champions with his brother, Jimmy, getting ready to become a father once again. Good for you, Big Jim. And then we've made mention to it multiple times already on the show, but the fantastic year of Stephanie Vauquer, not just in NXT, but the immediate just transition to the top of the main roster, and already looking like the powerhouse that is going to be here on the WWE side of things to stay. And that's why I said I love this category, because workhorse is one that you define it yourself. 42 people voted on this. 42 people are going to have 42 different opinions on this. And that's why I love it. But there can only be one. The winner of the 2025 Workhorse of the Year goes to Anna. Says Stephanie Vauquer, getting her vote. She was not a member of our panel. Gary says Chelsea. Oh, did it click? There it goes. Yeah, and it is Chelsea. We lost our feed over here on our side again, but it actually is Chelsea Green taking the Workhorse of the Year for 2025. A fantastic year from our two-time women's champion or United States women's champion. Also, one half of the AAA mixed tag champs as well. We can see some definite popular votes, and surprisingly, she ran away with this one. 45% of the votes going to Chelsea Green for this particular event, or for this particular category. And what a moment for that, and for Chelsea to be able to succeed in what was, in my opinion, a pretty loaded field. But inevitably, it is Chelsea getting a chance to show her work ethic and to show exactly what she is capable of. And it's proud to see exactly that it is getting rewarded in terms of, what she did. And you see a lot of popular groups, folks in here stating their things. We've got Let's Go, Jordan going with Chelsea, Alyssa, that girl was everywhere. And you're absolutely correct. Gary, yes, stating her piece. We did lose the feed there for a moment. I'm in the midst of putting that back up there. I got to come up with a better route for this next year. I'm thinking maybe that little miniature little desktop thing that I have, I think would be a good route. But Chelsea Green taking our Workhorse of the Year. And actually, it's a good segue while I wait for this to power back on yet again, to once again just give us, kind of some shameless shout outs here on the Ring Apron, getting ready to enter its 7th year of existence. This began as just two people wanting to just talk wrestling after shows. Myself, Kia, we sat, ironically, almost in the exact spot I'm sitting right now. No shelves behind me. It was just a blank white wall, 2 chairs, a very, very bad web camera. And you can go back and you can go to our YouTube channel, look up On the Ring Apron on YouTube. But it was definitely different than you see now. Our Top Rope spoilers was me printing off pictures and putting them on a whiteboard in the back of our house. So to see how far we've actually come, very similar to the conversations we've had about Mania Club and just how different things are since everything else happened. We've actually grown and evolved quite a bit as well. And seeing the love and support again from Mania Club and from the WWE fan base, all of the different friends, all of the different people that we've been able to meet over the years has just been something else. And you've also welcomed the newest additions of our On the Ring Apron family from here in Georgia, the Alyssas, the Anna, the Avas, the Addisons, the Cassius, who appears from time to time. It seems like every time we come out here, we have a different cat that tends to enter the picture and whatnot. It definitely is something that we are proud of, and it could not be done without the help of, the Mania Club and allowing us to be able to do things like this. So thank you again so much. The feed's back up, so let me go ahead and bounce that back onto our screen here, and maybe I won't lose it anymore through the rest of the show, but I probably will. And if we do, we'll pop back out and talk some more. But let's move back into it as we are closing in on our last couple of awards here. We talked about the heel of the year, so of course we got to have a baby face of the year. Who was the ultimate good guy? Who's the one that as soon as their music hit, you just got up out of your seat? You got up and you were excited. This is the person that you've spent your hard-earned dollars. Or in our case, when it comes to the kids, we spent our hard-earned dollars to let them go see everything else. Thank you, Gary. It says the presentation is great. And we appreciate the hard work, even though it's a lot of times seems like it's just thrown together. But 5 names, all of them super popular amongst the WWE universe. So I don't think there's really much argument in terms of the 5 we have here. Our current undisputed WWE champion, Cody Rhodes. Former women's world champion Io Sky, the Yeet Master Jey Uso, last year's winner of the Babyface of the Year. John Cena's babyface run through the second half of the year was good enough to make it into our top 5. And then a former Babyface of the Year winner from a couple of years ago, Rhea Ripley, finding a way to make it onto our panel. I think all 5 of them definitely deserving of being here, but there can only be one. And let's find out who is going to take it. I'm seeing some you can't see me's from Anna over there. I think we need like an Anna cam or something like that. We need to put like a camera on the kids or something for future videos. But I think I can tell you right now, she's got those Yeet sleeves over in her room. She's got herself her own little Jey Uso shirt, so I'm sure she's got a favorite for this one. But let's find out. Our 2025 Babyface of the Year goes to John Cena. And John Cena getting an individualized award this year. And I do wonder, if all of the way that, you wonder how much of this is due to the fact that his babyface push was later in the year, but also how much of this is kind of just a lifetime achievement award. How much of this is just, this is the only year we're going to get an opportunity to be able to put John Cena in any of this. But the reality is, especially as you started getting towards the end of the retirement tour, is Gary definitely throwing his thoughts in here as well. And I think he's absolutely correct. When you sit here and you look at the amount of merch he sells, and that doesn't change from, when he was working here full time. Cena shirts ate up the place. He made a ton of money for WWE, made a ton of money for himself. And you absolutely see it in not just the respect, even when he was, on his heel run, people still wanted to come out and see him. And you can see that while the vote was pretty well split amongst everybody with, let's see, that would be Cody Rhodes and Io Sky inevitably, doing well in terms of the votes. But I'm not necessarily surprised that John Cena getting a chance to win an individualized award prior to leaving. And it may not be his last one. We'll have to see. He is nominated for a couple of other categories, but he is our babyface of the year. And now we hit into our final categories. We already saw our 2 respective superstars of the year from NXT get crowned earlier in the night. That would be JC Jane and Oba Femi, respectively. We will start off with the respective main roster female superstars of the year. All of them are considered by our definition the 5 top female superstars of the 2024 or late 24 and 2025 year. You have the forever champ Athena, formerly known as Ember Moon here in WWE. The good push by Megan Bayne, who had an opportunity to be breakout superstar of the year. Of course, former known as Sasha Banks, now TBS and, virtually everything else. Mercedes Moné in the middle. Toni Storm, last year's winner, now dropping the timeless persona from her later in her years. And a big push for Willow Nightingale, getting an opportunity with her late push and everything else to put herself into the running for the AEW Female Superstar of the Year. And going back to Cena here real quick, Gary bringing up a great point. He said, I would have never traveled to a Saturday night's main event if it wasn't for John Cena. We've attended 2. One of them was here in Atlanta. We saw, and ironically, both had retirement matches. We saw Goldberg's retirement match against Gunther here in Atlanta. And then, of course, we saw Cena's retirement a couple of weeks ago, also falling to Gunther. So, we mentioned on a show previously talking about we might have him be known as like, the Legend Reaper or something, or the Reaper or something like that, because he wants to end careers. But moving back to our category here, as we did mention earlier, anybody that does win this particular award will also move into the final vote for the overall superstar of the year. Last year, that was Toni Storm. So it is not above an AEW superstar to be able to be considered the best female or just overall superstar of the year. But these are the best 5 that we have from the AEW side. There can only be one, though. Winning the AEW Female Superstar of the Year for 2025 and advancing to the final overall vote is Toni Storm. It is now the no longer timeless one, making it back onto the panel. But for the second year in a row, Toni Storm retains her AEW Female Superstar of the Year. And this one was really not close. As surprisingly, Athena and Megan Bayne actually did not get a single vote amongst our panel. So you can clearly see that it was Toni in a category by herself, then Mercedes and Willow Nightingale ultimately ending up with a category to themselves, and then it was pretty much everyone else. But Toni Storm, you saw it earlier, 2 matches on our final vote for match of the year, ultimately winning the match of the year with Mariah May in their Hollywood ending. And again, she was not only the AEW Female Superstar of the Year, but also the overall Superstar of the Year last year. And she's going to have an opportunity to try to run it back and try to win it again. An infamous saying it's tough to get to the top of the mountain. It's harder to stay on top once you're there because everyone is coming from all sides and gunning for you. But Toni continues to show up and show out and is well-deserving. Congratulations to Toni Storm. Once again, the AEW Female Superstar of the Year. By that same token, of course, we need the WWE Female Superstar of the Year. And again, it's all based on just how you like them as well as how do you judge them. And when we came down to all of the nominees through dozens of people on the female roster, the final 5 we ended up with are a few people that have been nominated. In fact, we've seen every one of these people on the panel at least once for an individualized award up to this stage. Chelsea Green, our workhorse of the year, making on the list. Former women's world champions Io Sky, Naomi, and Rhea Ripley all making it onto the list. And then the current women's world champion in Stephanie Vaquer, who, remember, about an hour ago, won the debut or first year, award. So she has an opportunity to win Female Superstar of the Year in her very first year on the main roster. And that would be something that, while not necessarily unheard of, is definitely something that's a push you just flat out don't see, is someone getting that much of a push that quickly. But she does make the panel and has an opportunity to be able to win. Rhea with an opportunity to retain her Female Superstar of the Year. She's won it 2 years in a row and was the overall in 2023. So Rhea with an opportunity to be able to be Female Superstar of the Year. She's trying to three-peat this upcoming year. But there can only be one. Joining our overall panel and our 2025 WWE Female Superstar of the Year is Stephanie Vaquer. In her first year on the main roster, it's Vaquer not just being the top person in her first year, the newcomer of the year, but we end up putting her through as the Superstar of the Year. And I remember, this is only based on her time on the main roster, because you can only be nominated for either the NXT side or the WWE side, is whichever side you spent more time in. Gary saying if Naomi doesn't get pregnant, she wins this easy, but did vote for Chelsea Green. And I mean, you see the vote. I mean, it's not like Stephanie ran away with this one. A very high vote. In fact, Chelsea only by, what would that be, a committee member or two, narrowly staying with Stephanie Vaquer. But this one came down to the wire. A very, very respectable set of votes amongst everybody. And you do have to wonder if maybe Stephanie netted the benefit of a couple of the other people that might have voted for, let's say, Naomi or a Chelsea Green, maybe because those votes were split up. That tells you something. But, when you have, a sixth of your committee voting for the person who finished last, and that was Io Sky, that's no slap on the wrist. That's nothing to hang your head about. This is a tough division. But Vaquer ultimately goes over. It was close, but she does narrowly go over the rest of the competition and wins the Female Superstar of the Year. 2 main categories to go, and that, of course, now we have to move to the men's side. The AEW Male Superstar of the Year. Once again, who was the best male superstar from the AEW side of things? We've seen all of their names already mentioned. Every one of them were involved in at least one match that was up for Match of the Year. You see former WWE stars in Jon Moxley and Swerve Strickland, each under different names here in WWE respectively. And then, of course, Hangman Adam Page, Kyle Fletcher, Will Ospreay, just putting on, as Sheamus would say, banger after banger after banger, not burger after burger, though. That always gets Alyssa chuckling, so I always have to take advantage of that when I have the chance. But all 5 of these competitors, fantastic. Swerve Strickland was our winner from last year and absolutely deserving of being back on this panel again this year. But as we said, there can only be one. The winner for the AEW Male Superstar of the Year goes to Swerve Strickland again, as he once again retains his Male Superstar of the Year. This one was slightly more comfortable than Stephanie's win just a moment ago, but still one that came down to the wire. It ultimately was Will Ospreay who ended up coming up with the second one, and I will tell you that's where my vote went, because I have been absolutely hooked into Will Ospreay matches. It seems like every time he gets an opportunity to put on the bright lights, he absolutely shows up and shows out. But no one can doubt what Swerve Strickland has done, as he now wins the AEW Male Superstar of the Year for the second year in a row. How NXT and WWE fumbled him, I'm not really sure, because it's amazing how many names you have seen on the Male and Female Superstars of the Year that WWE had in their back pocket, and they just fumbled them. And it'll be curious to see, there's been a lot of rumor of some AEW superstars finding their way back to WWE. One of the worst kept secrets is that of potentially Y2J coming back here in the near future to kind of finish out his career with WWE, where it all started. But you look at folks like Mox and Strickland, and then you would wonder about a Kyle Fletcher or a Will Ospreay making a run very similar to what Ricky Saints is doing right now down in NXT, and absolutely carrying his weight over there. But congratulations to Swerve. Definitely a fan favorite here with the Mania Club and here in our house as well. Once again, Male Superstar of the Year. And down to our final main category before we hit the overall, and that is the WWE Male Superstar of the Year. And I'm not really sure you can debate much about the final 5 on this one. Last year's winner, the Yeet Master Jey Uso, not making the list this year, and that tells you something considering his popularity level, that Jey Uso ultimately not making the final 5 this year, despite the fact that he won the World Heavyweight title this year. He absolutely competed on the grandest stage of them all and defeated Gunther, and has just absolutely carried everything, yet didn't make the final 5. The final 5 that we ended up coming up with our panel was the current World Heavyweight Champion, CM Punk, 2-time World Heavyweight Champion. Let me make sure I get that right there. For the 4th year in a row, it's the WWE Undisputed Champion, Cody Rhodes, making the list. We've seen now, Dom's probably got the biggest trophy case of anyone from our Otra Awards. Yeah, I'd say he's probably got the biggest trophy case of anyone, as he keeps seemingly winning multiple awards. But he once again finds his way onto the panel for the 2nd year in a row. He hasn't won it yet, but he may be winning it here in a couple of minutes. John Cena making it to the list for the Male Superstar of the Year. You can argue maybe the number of appearances for Cena in terms of, the fact that he wasn't on TV enough, but when he was, you were sat. That really is all you can say. And then despite the fact that he took an injury in the later part of the year, Seth Rollins inevitably making it onto our list as well. He wins the main event of night one over Roman and Punk. And also for the first time in our 4 years of doing this, you will notice no Roman Reigns on our list. In fact, with the exception of just his one match at WrestleMania being up for grabs, Roman Reigns actually made very little notoriety this year in terms of being eligible for any of our awards, or making it at least into the final nomination. So congratulations, though, to the final 5 that we have here. All of them well-deserving, all of them holding gold at some point this year. But once again, there can only be one. We're looking at JC Jane, Obafemi, Swerve Strickland, Tony Storm, Stephanie Vaquer, and one more person. Who will be the final person to join the overall vote? The winner of the 2025 Mania Club and On the Ring Apron Male Superstar of the Year goes to John Cena. And I do, and I said earlier, I thought that, maybe this might be more of a lifetime achievement award, but you can see this one came down to the wire between him and Dominic Mysterio. Actually finished second on that list. And to my surprise, Seth Rollins didn't pick up a single vote on our panel members because, and I don't know if it was due to the late injury or just due to the fact that he made the list, but sometimes it was just in a group. But that the field must be stacked if Seth Rollins is getting left in the dust. That must be a killer field because no one questions Seth Rollins' work. But this came down, and Dominic Mysterio finishing second in vote this year amongst our panel, deserving of the award. And if it wasn't for John Cena going through the retirement tour and everything else, he inevitably has an opportunity to be able to put himself up there to try to compete for the Superstar of the Year. But it does go to John Cena for 2025. And honestly, I'm kind of okay with that because, it's our last chance to be able to give out Cena's accolades. He won't get a chance to be up for any awards for us again going forward with him now retiring. But what a year from John Cena when, as I said, when he was on TV, you were sat. So I'm going to jump back in here real quick. One last live look at us. Once again, before we hit our final vote here, one last opportunity to be able to say thank you to the Mania Club and say thank you to everybody that has been a part of all of this. We're honored and blessed every day that we get a chance to do something like this. And we can't say thank you enough for trusting in us to handle something like this, to be able to trust us to really get the vibe and the vote of our Mania Club and our Otraverse, and really let the people, whatever their definition of each wrestler, each story, each team, each stable, whatever it ends up being, an opportunity to be able to have their each unique voice heard, and as a result, pull it all together. And for this to be the biggest vote we've had, the biggest panel. We started with a panel. What did we have the first year? 7? 3? Me, well, I guess the first one, it was just the 3 of us, and it was that wasn't going to work. And then it went to 7, and then it went to 9, and then it went to last year. I think it was 15, something like that. It was something like that. But either way, 42 people on the panel this year. And I'm hoping next year that we can build it even bigger. Gary, I got your word in there. You said, let's try to, let's see if maybe we can actually make this into something. Let's call them, maybe we can call them the Otras, and we, at least that's how we can get our lineage, but maybe Mania Club can give them out or something. But may I nominate that as our first name. But thank you so much for letting us be a part of this. We do have one more award to go here. We're going to get to that here in a moment. One last shout out to W Energy. You've been seeing their little promo go across the bottom the whole show. Go to their site, w.gg. Put in the promo code OTRA. You get 10% off. Great energy, weight loss supplement. It's fantastic stuff. Great flavors. I've really thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you to Gary, DeMario, Zach, Jordan, Isaiah. Everybody who has jumped in to throw comments into the group. All of it's been loved and appreciated. we couldn't do this without y'all, and look forward to doing this again next year, 5 this time, but I think we were lucky enough to be able to get 1, and now we get to do this for a 5th, and we'll try to make it even bigger and better. But Gary, I would really love to have a conversation with you. Let's make this into a thing. Let's actually also maybe give out some stuff to the actual award winners themselves. Let's make this actually mean something, not just be a fun show for our charity and whatnot. And everything that we do is always appreciated. And thank you so much for, telling us, giving us our flowers and whatnot. I really wish that Alyssa doesn't have her voice, so she's been kind of just watching things from the camera side. I wish Kia could be here because I know my voice going on for an hour and 40 minutes cannot be that much fun to listen to. So I could have at least shifted it up a little bit, but we'll definitely see what we can do. But let's build this thing bigger. I mean, that's what Mania Club does. It's all we do is we get bigger, we get better. And I would love to see this, if this is going to be on the ring aprons, one key thing to all of this. I would love to see this be bigger, but let me go ahead and let's get back into our panel vote here. And that is our last award of the event and the evening as we wrap up our 4th annual OTRA Mania Club Awards. And that is for our overall superstar of the year. This one technically has no vote. It literally just goes down to who is the person amongst these 6 winners that through an entire collection, and this isn't just our 42 panel members, this is anyone and everyone amongst the Ultraverse and Mania Club that wants to throw their 2 cents in there. Every single person's vote matters in this particular instance. So this really has an unknown number of votes other than we know it. This was the only one that is more than 42, our 42 member panel. So this is one where you've got hundreds, maybe even thousands of people who are making their voice heard amongst our 6 winners. They are in alphabetical order. Our NXT Women's Superstar of the Year, Female Superstar of the Year in JC Jane, as well as the main roster Female Superstar of the Year, Stephanie Vauquer. From NXT's men's side, it's Obafemi, the Rula of NXT, getting ready definitely for a big push on the main roster. And then you get John Cena representing the main roster, just recently winning the Male Superstar of the Year. And then our 2 AEW representatives, ironically, the same 2 that were here last year in Swerve Strickland and Tony Storm. Tony Storm winning it last year. As we said, or as I noted earlier, all 3 years that we've done this up till now, the overall superstar winner has been a female. As it was, it was Bianca Belair the first year we did it. Rhea Ripley won it the year after that. And then it was Timeless Tony Storm this last year, and she is back up again. No one has ever retained this spot, though. So this is an award that, you're competing with 2 different companies, and we may go even bigger if people want to include TNA, if we want to include TNA, AAA, other companies. I have no problem bringing them in here if that is what, the powers and the people that watch, if that's what they demand, that's what we'll go with. But I was actually pulling up some numbers here on my side. This inevitably had the voice of 17,325 people. 17,325 people all threw their 2 cents of some kind. Some writing just a simple, this is the name I want. Others putting in thing. But between the 2 sides, 17,000 plus people getting a chance to have their voice heard. So we don't really have an official percentage vote. All we're simply going to put out there is who is the overall winner. And as we have said, one final time, I wonder if that's a play on something because I don't even know this myself. This is the only award I don't know, is because I have someone else throw this last one in here because even I want to be surprised. But we're going to go ahead and I'm going to hit the button here and we're going to see what happens. But the final award for the year in our 4th annual 2025 OTRA Mania Club Awards, our overall best in the world, if you will, overall superstar of the year goes to a nice little overlay there. We'll pause for dramatic effect there. John Cena. And I can't necessarily say I am surprised by that, but John Cena inevitably, you know, this if you're going to give Cena a lifetime achievement award, if you will, I think this is probably that moment where it happened. You know, you see John Cena and what he has brought to not just the WWE universe, but also to wrestling in general. And you see what John Cena has been able to bring. He brought the emotion. You can tell he had a ton of fun this year. And everybody's definition, again, over 17,000 people put their vote in on this one. My voice was just one of them. But this is where the vote ended. And no matter who ends up ultimately winning this one, I can't really object to it, because first of all, the people you're up against all are the best in their own respective categories. And so then you end up with just a straight up, just who's the best. And whatever that means to you is what it means to the vote. And ultimately, it's John Cena taking the overall superstar of the year for 2025. What a run for the retirement tour that he gave us. What a moment that he allowed us to be able to be a part of all of this. And, you know, tears, shady eye, you know, misty eyes, everything else amongst the WWE universe in Washington, D.C. that night. This one was definitely something that, you know, it's tough to see a legend go out, but he did it the way he wanted. And I'm proud for the guy. I wish him all the best in his new ambassador role. I think we all can say that, in terms of, you know, the fact of what he's brought to everybody within the WWE and just wrestling in general. He said, one of the things he said was, you know, he wanted to leave it better than he found it. And I think he did that tenfold. And, you know, our son, Landon, you've seen him many times on the show. He has modeled his entire life off of John Cena. I am thrilled and proud of the fact that he got a chance to meet John just before he announced his retirement in an event in Houston. And that was a moment 20 years in the making. And I'm really glad that he got that opportunity. So, you know, I don't know if he'll see it or not. I know he follows us on Instagram or something like that. But John Cena, congratulations on being the overall superstar of the year for the Mania Club and Otra Awards. And I'm going to bring us back into here one last time. Just thank you to everyone. Again, this is not easy to put together, and I love to sit here and toot my own horn, but I can't do it without everybody that's involved. All of our panel members that were involved. Each one of you deserve, you know, to be sitting up here high-fiving me. Maybe we'll do that one year. Maybe we can have an end of year get together where we'll do the Otra Awards at, some wing place or something. But at the end, you know, whether I'm sitting here in my living room or whether, you know, we get an opportunity to be able to do all of this, I'm just happy that we get to be a part of all of this. Gary Fonseca, thank you so much for being in our group throughout the evening. DeMario, much love to you. My best friend from Mania Club, without doubt. He has always been our advocate. He's been our guy that has been willing to be the voice for On the Ring Apron, to give us the inside track into some opportunities that he would be the first person to tell you, you know, he's not giving us any of this because we, you know, oh, we're friends with him or whatever. He says, you guys put in the work, you guys put in the effort. TME is what Mania Club's all about. And there are a lot of times where, you know, you want your work to be appreciated, you want your work to be seen, and he makes sure that anything that On the Ring Apron has done for the Mania Club never, ever goes unnoticed. Isaiah, you know, Zach, you know, I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. And I want to not list off a bunch of names just because of the fact that I know I'll forget someone. But all the members of our panel, you know who you were. Give yourself a pat on the back. You know, throw a comment on the bottom of this when it goes live on YouTube here, or, you know, the follow-up show and everything else. To Alyssa, Kia, Landon, Anna, Ava, Addison, Cassius, even though he can't talk, here in a home, you guys continue to push me forward. You guys continue to support this in every endeavor, and not just the fact that you watch as I put stuff like this together, but you also give me all the love and respect that, I need from it. And it means everything to me to see not just the work being broadcast for everyone to see, but also for an opportunity for, for us to make a difference. Because it's not just about the fact that On the Ring Apron wants to succeed. We want to see places like Mania Club. We want to see them succeed. And y'all help me keep going. When you see those side plates stacking up, because I haven't done a plate exchange in a month, and you see there's 9 or 10 new ones over there, and they're like, get to it. It's a very friendly slap in the back of the head, but one that's appreciated. But I wouldn't do it without y'all. And I thank y'all for it. And, year 7, I hope is as good as, the rest of the years. I hope it's better, actually. But thank you. I know Alyssa, I'm sure, would have loved to put a little more of her 2 cents in there than she was able to. You did see her go into the chat. She's doing this from over behind the other side of the camera, but she's sending her love to everybody. But with that, I burned about 2 hours of y'all's time. As I said, I'd keep it to an hour and a half, and you knew I wasn't going to. But 2 hours seems to be about what it runs, and perfect timing in terms of getting people ready for football, for New Year's ball drops. Whether you're watching the Peach here in Atlanta, you're going to do the big ball in New York, or just watching some fireworks outside your house, or doing nothing more than just taking an adult beverage and then going on to bed as soon as the time hits. You might be looking at, let's see, 12 and a second, and I'm going to sleep. But whatever your New Year's plans are for the evening, be safe. Thank you for taking the time to watch us. And Gary and Zach both said it best earlier. 2026 is going to be something, and I am here for it. I am front and center for all of this, and I can't wait to see what we've got in store. With that, I sign off for the last time, one final time. Yes, this is the only year I can use that, because there can only be one Steve from On the Ring Apron, representing us, Mania Club, and the Champions of Hope Foundation, everything else that we do. Let's make 2026 our best year ever. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and sign us off, and we will see y'all next year. Much love to everyone.
Peace.